Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told out of Voice of Radio, so today we've got another batch of big cards to look at from Paradox Rift. They've got them in officially revealed in English, and these ain't too shabby, ladies and gentlemen. These ain't too shabby. And let's start off with a common card. This is Jirachi. Now, I'm sure a lot of you know this by now, but I'm going to tell you anyway. At the end of every year, one of the videos I really enjoy doing, at the end of every year, I do my Pokemon TCG awards. I've done it for the past few years. I'll be doing it again this year around Christmas, New Year time. And one of the awards I always give out is Best Common. The best common card that has been revealed, or released, I should say, during the calendar year that we're coming to the end of. And I do it as a calendar year. Well, I don't want to give the game away, right? And I don't want to speak too soon, but I do feel pretty confident that this year's winner for Best Common Card is going to be this Jirachi. It's absurd that this thing is a common, ladies and gentlemen. But I love that it is a common. It is awesome that it is a common. And I need to go and have a little bit of a look, all right? Just to make sure I haven't kind of done a silly and forgotten about a really good common card that's been released elsewhere. But the fact of the matter is, ladies and gentlemen, I'm probably going to give some honourable mention to some silly card that could end up being kind of cool. You never know. But I think in terms of best common card released this year, not to spoil my video that I'm not even going to make for another 2 months and a bit, but yeah, this is absurdly good. And it's not the single energy, charge energy, search and F2 basic energy, reveal them and put them into your hand. Maybe if you were attaching them to Pokemon doing that, yes, but no, ladies and gentlemen, this is not a reason to play the card. What we've got is the ability Stellar Veil. Prevent all damage counters from being placed on your bench Pokemon by effective attach used by your opponent's basic Pokemon. Now, it is only damage counters, and it is only attacks, and it is only basic Pokemon. If evolution Pokemon want to drop damage counters, they are more than welcome to do so. If abilities want to drop damage counters, they are more than welcome to do so. So things that you might see played like Hawlucha or like Meowscarada EX, for instance, they will absolutely still work. They will still drop damage counters. This will be fine. What will not work is Sableye. And I'm not saying this is just for Sableye, all right? I am not saying that the only thing that this is going to block against is Sableye, because it's not. There's other things that drop damage counters. But I 100% am saying that the best use for this is against Sableye, and that this is going to be a card which is an absolute godsend for anybody that is worried about Sableye. And frankly, I am. A little while ago, I made a video, and basically the conceit of that video was Sableye is ruining all my fun deck ideas. Sableye is making it so every fun deck that I make is just wrecked. You know, something like Zoroark that I've been playing around with since it released. I've been testing that deck a load because we got a load of really good stage 1s. And this lets you swap a Zoroark for a stage 1 in your discard pile. It's great. You can play a 1-of and use it 4 times in a matchup it's really good against. I love Zoroark. But the fact of the matter is, if Sableye gets rolling quickly, it will just get all of your Zorua before you get a chance to evolve, wreck your time, and it's not going to be fun. And obviously, we've had Manaphy for a while now, and Manaphy is great against bench damage. If you're worried about Greninja, then you just drop a Manaphy down on the field, and then Greninja can't do anything, and you're like, gutted. They can't hit the bench. But that doesn't work here, ladies and gentlemen, not against damage counters. This will. Jirachi absolutely will, and that is amazing to me, and I absolutely adore it. As a side note, yes, cancelling Cologne will work. Absolutely. Cancelling Cologne will 100% turn off Jirachi's ability, but only if it's active. So your opponent would have to gust Jirachi into the active, and then they will be able to place damage counters on the bench or onto Jirachi. But it's, you know, you got to have cancelling Cologne, and you've got to have your gusting, and you've got to have them at the same time. And even then, if your opponent just recovers and replays a Jirachi, then that's kind of ruined anyway. We've seen this as a way around Manaphy, and yes, sometimes it absolutely does work. We've all seen it work. But it's not exactly a reliable plan day in, day out, ladies and gentlemen, is it? No. It also doesn't protect your active, but then again, if the best they can do is drop 12 damage counters on the active with Sableye, you're probably going to have a much, much better day. This is a very big deal. The fact that it's a basic Pokemon is ridiculous. The fact that it's a common card is awesome. Everybody is going to have like 50 of these Jirachi sitting around, ready to put in their deck if they need it. And I love it, ladies and gentlemen. I love it. Another card which is very big and very cool is Mela. This is a card we should all be a little bit excited about. This is a card that Fire decks are going to absolutely love. And yeah, Fire decks are used to accelerating energy, that's fine. Mela is going to help again. What we've got is, you can use this card only if any of your Pokemon were knocked out during your opponent's last turn. So you have to have had a KO. The good news is, it is Pokemon were knocked out. Doesn't have to be by damage, so damage counters, instant KOs, etc. will totally count. But remember, it is during your opponent's last turn, and bear in mind special conditions, your poison, your burn, etc. They happen in Pokemon Checkup, or during Pokemon Checkup, so they would not activate Mela here. But if you had a Pokemon KO during your opponent's last turn, you attach one fire energy from your discard pile to one of your Pokemon, and if you do, you draw cards until you have 6 in your hand. So, best case scenario here, you're accelerating energy while drawing 6 cards, which is clearly brilliant. It's also worth noting in the wording here, you attach a basic fire to one of your Pokemon. They do not have to be active or benched, it doesn't matter where they are on the field, and it does not have to be a fire Pokemon. You know, compare this, for instance, to Magma Basin, which is a similar kind of thing. It's a stadium card, but it has to be from your discard pile to a benched fire Pokemon. If they're active, you can't do it. If they're anything other than a fire Pokemon, you can't do it. The fact that this can go to the active and to a non-fire Pokemon, very cool, we like it. Although, of course, it does raise the fairly obvious question of, well, hang on a second, Wassy, what about Raihan? Because again, it's a card that can only be played if one of your Pokemon was knocked out during your opponent's last turn. And you can attach any energy from your discard pile to one of your Pokemon. It doesn't have to be a fire energy. And you search your deck for any card rather than drawing up to 6. And yes, there is a strong argument that in a bunch of situations, Raihan is better. Honestly, hard for me to argue here. Raihan is a lot of the time the better card. However, worth pointing out that when we rotate, and the rotation should be coming early next year, we are going to rotate through Raihan. We're essentially going to rotate to Brilliant Stars on. I know it doesn't work exactly like that nowadays. It's regulation marks, which means we will actually, if you want to be pedantic about the whole thing, we'll be going to regulation mark F onwards. However, it's basically Brilliant Stars, all right? It's how a lot of people are still going to think about it. It's a decent way to think about it, although it's not 100% accurate. You know what I mean? Point is, we'll be rotating through Raihan, which is going to be a bit awkward if you want to play Raihan, which is going to make Mela a lot better. But also the fact that you're drawing 6, sometimes searching one card isn't enough. Sometimes you want a bunch. That's a situation where Mela is going to excel. It's not always as good as Raihan, I'll be honest with you. But like I say, Raihan will be rotating out. It's regulation mark E. And also, there are reasons why sometimes one card isn't enough, frankly. So drawing 6, if you can empty your hand, might be a better option. Now, they've got to reveal Turbo Energize. Remember, TMs coming around is a big deal in this particular set. It is the return of TMs, which is awesome. And what Technical Machine Turbo Energize does is it gives you a new attack. However, remember, it falls off at the end of your turn. And for a single energy, you search your deck for up to 2 basic energy cards and attach them to your bench Pokemon in any way that you like. It's quite cool. It means that any Pokemon... I told you Jirachi's attack wasn't good enough because you really wanted to attach energy rather than just search them. Well, here, that's what you're doing. And it doesn't matter what basic energy they are, any basic energy will work, which is lovely. And it is from your deck, so that means you don't have to muck about trying to get cards in the discard, etc., which is lovely. And actually, yeah, there are going to be some decks where this is really going to work. And they did reveal... Now, weirdly, Pokemon Sleep went and did a card reveal for this set, which is kind of cool and not the thing we usually see, but it was the very appropriate Snorlax doll. I love that they went and gave the official reveal of Snorlax doll to Pokemon Sleep. Makes me happy. But Snorlax doll is another very, very, very good card. What it does, it's basically 120 HP basic Pokemon, but you can only play it, it is an item card, remember, you can only play it when you're setting up the game. If you're not setting up the game, you cannot play it. If you draw it at any other time, you cannot play it onto the field. Although, it doesn't have to be played in your active spot, so yes, if you do happen to have multiples of these in your opening hand, you absolutely will be able to play multiples of them. Against decks that mulligan a bunch, this does actually make it a way better card, because you'll potentially have a couple of them. You cannot retreat, though you can switch to the bench. You can discard it from play at any time you like, but then it's gone. And it cannot be affected by special conditions. But if it's knocked out, your opponent doesn't take a prize card, and that's a very, very, very big deal. Yay! It's cool, frankly, ladies and gentlemen. This is cool. It acts as a great wall. But to go back to Turbo Energize for a minute, yes, Snorlax doll can use TMs. And we're probably going to get a ruling for this in the FAQ when Paradox Rift pre-releases start at the weekend. We don't need a ruling for this. We know how this works. Because it's treated as 120 HP basic colorless Pokemon. So yes, you can give it attacks and TMs. There is nothing there that would suggest you can't. Nothing at all. Which makes Snorlax doll way better, because we've seen some stuff like Robo-Sub in the past, which is a card I have an awful lot of love for. Played that in some decks and top some regionals, and that was really fun. Because it was around at the same time as Lysander's trump card, so you can essentially just play 4 of these, and then run through your entire deck, and then re-put them into your deck with trump card. So I played it in my Donphan deck, and I'm not even kidding. Because Donphan was a hit and run deck, every single turn, and I mean every single turn, I ended my turn with a Robo-Sub in the active, so my opponent could only take prizes with gusting or hitting the bench. It was fun. Still lost in the top 8 of that regional Solandra's deck, but that's not the point, ladies and gentlemen. That's not the point. This is a great card. Yes, it can only be played when you're setting up, which is a problem and means you'll play 4 and hopefully get to use 1, but even then not in every game. It's 120 HP Pokemon that your opponent actually has to work to KO. It doesn't give up a prize, and it can use TM, so it's actually being useful rather than just walling. It's great. Oh, and then they went and showed off the artwork rare of Brute Bonnet, which they did show us before during a reveal video at Worlds, so we don't need to talk a huge amount about it. But at Worlds, we didn't exactly see the best look at it. So, yeah, we got a nice new scan here, Whoop, etc. But they literally showed us this at Worlds, so we don't need to talk about it very much. It's a cool card. The attack's garbage. But if you got an Ancient Boost Energy Capsule attached, you can just poison both active Pokemon. And that's actually pretty gosh darn cool. So, yay! There we go. Also worth noting, we now know that Future Boost Energy Capsule does give you free retreat. So actually, it doesn't just let you poison every turn. It also means that you can retreat for free. So that retreat cost of 1, 2, 3 is fine because you actually have 0 retreat. Because if you're playing this, obviously you're going to have a Future Boost Energy Capsule attached. And that's pretty gosh darn cool, ladies and gentlemen. That's pretty gosh darn cool. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. Those are the new reveals, and now it's over to you guys. Tell me what you think about this. Tell me how excited you are for these cards. Tell me if you think Jirachi is going to be as good as I think it is. Tell me anything you want to tell me in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi. That's where we talk about Pokemon and card games and Pokemon card games, all kind of fun things. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, join the Discord, all kinds of fun things. And get shoutouts on the channel like the lovely Tobias DePrato, who's been a supporter of ours for a little while now and is a very lovely person, so shout out to them for the support and the loveliness. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.